An alarming number of fires are ravaging much of California. Many have had to evacuate. If you're in the West and have room to spare, contact Bridget O'Connor, our Kingdom Emergency Response Spreadsheet-Wielding Coordination Officer. You can find her at facebook.com/West Kingdom. Leave a note there and she'll be sure to get with you and get your information. And thank you for all the help that you can give.
Hey everybody, welcome to Between Two Peers, a live stream show where the hosts invite a guest from around the known world to answer your pressing questions about life, the universe, and everything. This week is sponsored by Kentucky Mules. Why do you ask? Well, the humor of this episode may kick like a mule and be a little redneck. Bring the drinks. Wait a minute, that was last week.
This week. So this week is brought to you by Bourbon Spice Racks, because sometimes you got to be fancy.
Yeah.
And by PBR, because
thank you.
That's why.
That's why. To our fabulous guest, who will be making an intro any second now. My name's Tulia. I'm a Laurel from the West Kingdom. I've been, trying to figure out ways to make it through this very weird time that we live in, and this show is helping me kind of retain some sanity and enthusiasm for the SCA, and I hope it's doing the same for you. So, without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to my fabulous co-host, Sir Helga.
I am Sir Danger Muppet, or Sir Helga. I'm from the West Kingdom. I am a knight, a pelican, and a royal peer, and I am definitely not sane. Like, there is very little sanity left in this small little house right now, and so we're here to entertain you this evening, and we tonight have pretty much my favorite person in the world on the show, besides you, Tulia, and Hans, wherever you are. My Wonder Twin, the Rainbringer, who really needs to come to California right now.
Yes,
to solve a lot of problems. My Wonder Twin, Sir Antonii. Oh my god, how did I trip over your name?
I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure you're going to do it again as you start drinking. Hi, I'm Sir Antonii, a.k.a. the Rainbringer, because it rains where I go all the time. I am knighted in the East and Viscount Mists, one of the original Weasties, Coast Travelers, and a full-time knight-errant nomad. What's up?
So with that, I'm going to remind you all of the drinking game, since we have updated rules. When a host or guest uses a non-SCA name when referring to somebody else on the show, when Tulia mentions Duke Thorfinn, her boyfriend, when someone says, before I was a peer, in my kingdom, and when I last reigned, so any of those three, when somebody calls for a soapbox, or somebody uses the term spite sprinkles. So with that, we're going to roll right into the questions.
All right.
Awesome. Alrighty. So, first question, straight out the gate. This is from our wonderful host of the sister show to this. We kind of think of it as kind of our sister show, Logan Pathwarden, who is the host of Ask the Knights Live. So absolutely, y'all should go watch it if you haven't been. Question is, what are you doing during the plague times to improve your SCA kit? Learning a new skill? Making art, armor, food?
So I'll be completely honest and say that I am doing absolutely nothing to further myself in the society during this pandemic. I have been being a full-time house husband. Our house is cleaner than ever, which my lovely wife, I'm sure, will attest to. I have been learning how to cook new things. They're not period recipes or anything of that sort, but I've been doing cooking, and she and I have been getting a lot more time together. Which are all really good things, but very much needed, because we've been spending all of our time making ourselves better at and in the society for like the last that work. So the pandemic has kind of given us the, hey, we'll slow down in next month once we get to here, or we'll slow down after so-and-so steps down, or we'll slow down here. Well, this is sort of a forced slowdown, which is exactly. I'm looking forward to getting back to making some jewelry, because I haven't been. COVID killed my muse, for sure, but we're almost there.
Helga?
So what have I been doing? I've been trying to actually get through my backlog of shields that should be painted. And so I'm not trying to improve my kit right now. I'm actually trying to improve other people's kits, because franchise matters. Also, not having a backlog would be delightful. Really. That'd be great. And so other than that, I'm just trying to work out playing with a new shield style. So actually, technically, I'm about to paint my own shield because I have a new shield. So little things, but mostly I'm outwardly focused, because outward focus keeps me driven well in the pandemic, versus like an inward focus. I just want to go take a nap and drink. My muse is very fed by other people, not me. And so, yeah, I'm being lazy about my kit.
I agree with Antonii that it's it has kind of put the brakes on a very fast-paced kind of hobby that, we were always go, hitting every event, more or less like every other weekend, if not close to that. Or big wars where we had to pack all our shit and travel and be gone for a week and come back. And then the next thing you know, you're at another event. So there was no real time to kind of catch your breath. So this is a good time to catch your breath. But I think my problem is that, like Helga, I am also kind of people motivated. Being around other people inspires me to start projects, or to get excited about a project, or to want to do something and make something and contribute. And so, yeah, it's this weird push-pull that I'm having right now with all of this free time, and none of the real a drive to actually commit to making stuff or doing stuff. I have been doing a lot of repairs though, to garb. I will, pull out something that is needed to be repaired for years, and I've just been kind of wearing it the way it is. And so I have done a bunch of that stuff, but I haven't really made any new things. I mean, this is the newest thing I've made, what I'm wearing here. I made this 2 weeks ago. But other than that, I've really kind of not been doing much, and I really want to find my muse and get started again. But yeah, I think I'm waiting for something to kind of fire me up again, and actually this show kind of fills in some of that creative drive a little bit. So
yeah, I think I know for me that not having deadlines is part of what kills me
exactly.
on motivation, because I am all over the place. I'm a procrastinator, whoa. So when I need to have something done for a specific timeline, well, I'm going to do it because it's going to get done. And with less timelines and less deadlines, it's I'll make stuff when I'm, when I have to.
Yeah, that's my thing is you got to threaten me with a deadline, and also there ain't no minute like the last minute. So when there's no last minute, I don't really have a desire or need to do anything. So yeah, that takes kind of a lot of the motivation out of me too. So further thoughts?
Well, I think that's it. So I think we're going to move to the next question.
All right.
This one comes from Floki. When recommending, okay, there's many questions in here, so hang on. When recommending someone to the crown for a peerage, does it have to come from a peer of that order, of any order, or can a populace member submit a recommendation? Depending on your answer, the follow-up question is, if a populace member submits a recommendation, is it weighted differently than when a peer does?
So I know that for me, usually when a name comes up, it's coming from the crown, right? So you need to kind of look at it on the royalty side and how they're going to weigh that name coming to them, right? Because as a knight in circle, most of the time we're going to be polled and asked about a candidate that's coming from the crown who says, hey, this person was recommended. Sometimes you may know who did, and sometimes you may not. Now, speaking personally, I don't care who recommended you. There may be a little more credence paid to specific parts if it comes from specific peers, right? Like if you're recommended for the knighthood by a laurel, and they also speak to your art, well, they're more qualified to speak to art than I am, right? So I'm maybe pre-inclined to accept that you probably have a decent art background, even though we're talking about a prowess-based, peerage. But ultimately speaking, when a name comes in, it's going to be discussed for the name, not really depend on who brought that name.
Yeah. This one is tough because it's anyone can. The real answer is anyone can recommend anybody for any award. Now, when you have involved like pulling orders, like the peerages or other kingdoms have polling orders that are non-peerage, non-patent. It's kind of like you can bring it up for discussion. You can say to somebody, like you can present somebody, say for instance, it's a good one. I know somebody who I think deserves to be a pelican. I'm not on that council. So it's not necessarily my peerage. So I don't know what their criteria is or what the discussion points are when they discuss candidates or who they're looking at, what they're looking for, all those things. But I really think this person is doing such a great job. They've kind of got all the service awards they can get. And they've just been plugging along, just kicking ass. And I'm like, hey guys, this guy needs some kind of like, are you talking about him? Now they won't tell me that, but I can come to the council through friends of mine. Usually what happens is I go to a friend who's on that council and I say something like, Lord Joe Schmo over there is really kicking butt on the service. I'm not, sure if he's being discussed, but I want you to know that I think he's really going above and beyond. And could you please keep an eye on him? That's kind of how I do my quote unquote recommendations. But a lot of times, in fact, before I was a Laurel, I actually had somebody write to, before I was a Laurel, thank you, Antonii. I had someone write to the Western Laurel Council from another kingdom and say, by our standards, she'd be a Laurel now. And I never really found out what happened with that that recommendation, but I know that when it's happened since I've been on the council, it's been considered, we've talked about it, and then maybe that person is put on a watch list. Maybe that person is basically like, yeah, they're close, but we still need to see a couple more things happen. But you can absolutely send in any recommendation for any award all the way through the peerage for anybody. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to be immediately peered, but it's always good to just keep poking at that and being like, why, So my weird, long, rambling answer. There we go. Helga, go.
Does that almost count as a soapbox?
I don't think so. I think it's just a weird, rambling answer.
Okay. So my weird, rambling answer to that, because it's going to be that, is I don't care who the recommendation comes from. Actually, sometimes, depending on the location. So if the person, here's where it's going to get a little weird. If the person is Central Kingdom and very, very visible to the most of the orders, it gets weighted the same. One of the things that I try to pay attention to is when we get recommended, because when I was a royal, one of the things we actually tried to pay attention to very hard was outside the normal areas. Like if we got any recommendation letters, I don't care who it came from, they're actually seeing and interacting with these people, and they understand them differently than we do, or possibly most of the peers. And then you can call the peers up in the local area and be like, hey, we got a letter about so-and-so, like, tell us about this person. Like, we're getting stuff from the populace, why are we not talking about this person? So I love populace letters as royal, because it gives me an insight that maybe the peers are missing. Maybe this person isn't that visible, but they're still doing a ton of service behind the scenes. Or they're a squire that's way off in the weeds, but they are just training and teaching and kicking some ass, but we're not seeing them central a lot. So those letters are actually key, and I would really encourage populace members to write in more about that, because this is where it's going to be a soapbox. The peerages can become jaded and stuck in our own ruts about what we feel the bar is at that moment in time. And infighting can actually increase the pressure on that bar and how we're seeing things. So sometimes those letters can break that because we need the outside perspective to actually start looking outside of ourselves again. So that's my weird thing of, yes, send them in. Please do that. Most kingdoms have a portal where you can send in a digital letter of recommendation. Please do. Write it up and tell us why. Tell us why you're actually recommending this person. Write an essay. Just get down and write it. Like, give us bullet points or whatever you need to do. Do it.
I did that recently for somebody. In fact, I try to do that a lot for Rain. Try to make sure that people are being seen. And so, yeah, always recommend people. But don't feel that just because you're not on a particular peerage that you can't recommend someone else for that, because all that information is important. And it shows that you actually give a shit about somebody and you think that they're worthy of it. And that's amazing. That's great. All right. We're going to do the next question.
Yeah. It's your question.
Right. So this is from Anonymous. And I thought this was a good question. Anonymous and I were having a conversation about it yesterday, and they felt that they didn't really want to attach their name to it, but it was a really good question. And so we agreed to do this anonymously. As a newer member, I often feel pressured to be more authentic in my hard and soft kit than I can really afford financially. Do you think it is important for newer members to be authentic right away, even if they are struggling financially?
Not at all, right? If you're making your best attempt and anyone's giving you a hard time about that, you'll let me know and I'll tell them they're a douchebag, straight up, right? As long as you're making your best effort, that's all you can really ask for. I mean, my first event, I was wandering around in a kilt, and I mean, it was kind of a shit show. It was also a Pennsic, which is another story entirely, right? But I like to point out to people when I see like a small way that they can make their kit better, right? When it's like, even if it's a newcomer's kit, right? Because if it's a newcomer's kit, there's so many places that you can improve, and you can look for the thing that's going to make the biggest impact for the least amount of money, right? Like the things that I always see, as the last things you really fill out are shoes and jewelry. Like, you want to get fancy clothes before you do all the period shoes and period specific. But a newcomer's focus should be on getting to meet people and finding what crafts they might be into, or if they want to fight, or if they don't want to fight, and if they want to help cooking or doing teardown or setup or planning events. They should be finding what's fun for them. And if someone is out there actively, holding them back from having a good time because they think their kit isn't good enough because they're new, well, then that person's just a douchebag and should leave that newcomer alone.
I like that. I like the mic drop.
It was pointed out to me that my first event, I was in fact wearing not just a kilt, but also Crocs. Yes, and brought those back when we actually did so at Pennsic last year. It's a good thing she mentioned that, right? I had let's all meet up at Midnight Madness and let's all wear the oldest garb that we have and our regalia. So like, I was schlepping around at Midnight Madness in Pennsic with a coronet and a night belt and Crocs with spurs on and my belt wrapped around a utility kilt. It was an absolute catastrophe. And we had a laurel in some leopard print tights. We were a mess and we were having a ball, and a lot of people came over and said, I don't usually see peers wearing clothes like that. And, we told them we were doing, because the goal is to go and have a good time. And like, the regalia means that maybe you've met certain milestones, you've done certain things, but at the end of the day, we're all nerds hanging out wearing funny clothes. And just because they're fancier and more period correct doesn't make them any funnier, right? Like, or any less funny. They're just more period appropriate in their comedic value, as far as I see. I mean, I always swore I would never wear Lance Connect because that stuff looked goofy as hell. And I'm kind of all about my Lance Connect now. It's a really good time because it's over the top and goofy, and we're here to play dress up.
It's very goofy. That is a true fact. All right, Helga.
I think it's my turn to pick up that mic and go with it.
Yeah.
I think that if you're placing pressure on a newer member to be more authentic right out the gate, there's some issues. And the issue isn't with the newcomer. I'm probably actually going to be a little like angry about this one, just so everybody knows. If you think somebody should be out more authentic, maybe you should help them be more authentic. We're going to get nowhere in the society by shaming somebody into trying to be better. Like, you can shame somebody about their actions, but if you shame somebody about their clothes, you're being a righteous prick, and I'll tell you off for them. If you want to come up to somebody and say, hey, like, I would love to see some improvements in your soft kit. Let me help you. Like, are you interested in me helping? Like, let me help with resources. Let me help with time. Let me help with knowledge. Let me help with some way that you can move forward. If you're going to start approaching people about that, you better be the gateway yourself to them having better access to information, knowledge, materials, and time. And one of the things is the SCA is a giant umbrella, and we have everywhere from somebody running around in a kilt and Crocs all the way up to, then turning around and running around in leather pants and multiple layered garments and all the peacock feathers and all the, heavy gold bling and everything else like that. And the SCA is a really cool umbrella because you can start in one place and get to another. We're not pay to play. We're show up to play. And everybody should remember that.
Okay, so that was a soapbox. I drank multiple times during it. I feel, and this was something in the conversation that I had with Anonymous yesterday, that I think from their perspective, they were coming at it from, they'd been in the society for a couple of years. So under like about 5 years, 3 to 5 years was the range. And so long enough to have absorbed some of the unspoken rules of how people in their area play. And so it was one of those things that they were saying, the pressure to get authentic, they felt very, very keenly within like the first few years of them getting serious or, really kind of absorbing all the stuff. And it's kind of a regional thing. I think it's also one of those things that varies from place to place, group to group. And, and we do think as a Laurel, and I say this as a Laurel, that research and authenticity should be kind of the ultimate goal, right? Otherwise, what the hell am I doing here being a Laurel, right? That's my MO. But I also think that when you're new, and even when you've been around for several years, you should show up just to have fun. You should show up, you should care about the things that matter to you as a person. So if you're going out on the field and you're wearing like loner garb and stuff, or loner armor, maybe adding pieces bit by bit is something that's going to take you a little bit of time. And nobody should shame you for that. Same thing with like garb. If it's something that's affordable for you to buy from, like, say, a merchant that is fairly inexpensive, it's not necessarily historically accurate, but what is in corpora? An attempt at pre-1600 costume. So it's not something that you have to be like right out of the gate 100% authentic. And so very few people, speaking as a Laurel again, so very few people actually nail the authenticity anyway. And so I think like that's a goal that's great and should be supported. You should be like, yeah, and it's going to take you a lifetime to get there. It really will. And that's okay. Now, people with loads of money who can walk in and can just like pay for all of it, or have a ton of free time because they're independently wealthy and they don't have to work a day job or anything like that, they can obviously accelerate that. But there's no need to shame somebody who is struggling to make ends meet and putting a little bit of money aside as much as they possibly can to get like that one thing, and then get the next one thing, and then the next one thing, and it accumulates over a longer span of time. That's totally okay. And anybody who makes a comment about like, well, your kit is not, period. I just got to say, fuck you. Just fuck you. You know, fuck you. Fuck that. Not you, the person that's getting told, but the person that's saying it. Like, just fuck up. I got the 5-minute warning. Sorry. All right, I've wrapped it up. We're done. Soapbox over. Hopping off.
I'm unmuted. Oh, there's 2 sticky notes together. I would like to note the Lady of the Lakes is.
There's a small surprise.
Tell me about being. Oh, she wrote down evil and then underlined it. Tell me about being evil twins. But first, I have something for Helga. Hi, Lady of the Lake.
Right. Unto the most delicate of snowflakes, to ever crush your enemies with an avalanche, come greetings from Morgan, the sneaky jeweler. I'm delighted to present to you a sterling silver snowflake necklace. See of your favorite co-hosts, Baby Ninja, Carius, Tulia, me, who have conspired with me to make a chain symbolizing the delicacy and sharpness that we do every online interaction. This is a delicate necklace, like a snowflake. Do not yank on the necklace. Also, it's made up of small, pointy bits that will catch in everything. Your hair, your clothes, your other chains, and of course, itself. Do not yank the chain. The silver will darken over time, and I think in this case it will make it look even cooler. Run a polishing cloth over the snowflakes to bring up a shine. It has been great fun to conspire with your co-hosts and tech crew. Like, if she actually
she did the evil laugh pretty well.
Morgan, P.S. Do not yank your chain. Lady of the Lake.
So Morgan, let me give a little backstory. A couple of weeks ago, after Morgan, Mistress Morgan, was on the show, she messaged the crew minus Helga and said, "Guys, guess what I found?" And it was these little sterling silver snowflakes. And she said, "For X amount of money, I can make a chain for Helga of little snowflakes." And of course, we all threw money at her, and this was the end result. So, you snowflake, you.
Yeah, well, it came in after an online argument where I got called a snowflake and a social justice warrior, and I was just like, and? Motherfuckers.
Love you.
So, Merry Christmas, happy birthday, whatever.
Back to the question now that I'm blushing furiously, is tell me about being evil twins or wonder twins.
So, as Wonder Twins, I think it's important to note that we would never use our powers combined. We sometimes may use our powers for not good, but we try to steer clear of evil because there's a bit of it. Having a Wonder Twin is a delightful burden. Is that an accurate assessment? Would you agree? A delightful burden.
That's the best assessment ever, actually. Yes.
Yeah, it is a delightful burden. One that I was saddled with gleefully. Is that even better?
Oh, yeah.
Harder for you there? Yeah.
I was about to say saddled. That's a great term for that.
I don't have anything to add. So.
Yeah, it's not about being evil twins or being Wonder Twins and using your power for evil. Everyone should remember to never use their powers for evil, but sometimes, or even most times, it's totally cool to use your powers for not good.
It's use your powers for awesome.
Yes,
awesome,
exactly.
That works. Not evil.
Well, let's just give credit where credit was due. That's strong bad. Do you use your power or for awesome?
So we did get sent in multiple questions, and I'm going to leave this to you, Anton, because out of the 2 Wonder Twins, you are the much more eloquent storyteller than I am. They want to know our origin story.
So the Wonder Twin origin story, really, and I'll blur out some names to protect those who are not at all innocent. But when I went to my first Great Western War, I met Helga there. And when we were introduced, it was very much, I kind of was like, oh, she's really cute and she's like super cool. And like, I'm definitely not like cool enough to hang out with her. So like, hi. And I think that was pretty much the only interaction we really had at all that entire week.
Because I had the exact same interaction where I was just like, oh, he's kind of cute, and I like his personality, and I can't talk to anybody like that. I'm out.
Yeah. So we mutually fear crushed away from one another. And I was lucky enough that I had come back out west for the 200th craft bow tourney about a month later. And I had been staying at Isolt's place. She was putting me up for while I was out there, and that was a bit of a drive to the site. And one of the other fighters said, "Hey, I'm actually going down to hang out at Helga's. Do you want to tag along?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Like that sounds fun, right? Because otherwise we were gonna go and like my night at the time, and Assault and I were gonna just like go and do dinner and go to bed early." And I was like, "Cool, that sounds way more entertaining, and I'll get to meet more people and hang out. I'm in." So we drove like 2.5 hours, about that, down to Helga's place, where there were a pile of people that I didn't know. It was a very entertaining evening with a lot of drinking. There were all manner of sexy shenanigans, none of which included Helga or I, which I think is important to note. And I had someone hit on me so much so that they actively punched me to get my attention. That was entertaining. You remember that?
Oh my god!
Right?
Yeah. Consensual?
Otherwise, not really an effective tactic. Definitely not.
She falls into the crazy scale, like really.
So by the end of the evening, I had planned to crash on the couch and then get a ride home. But there were like 3 people that had occupied Helga's bed, and there were people still up and drinking on the couch. So we both platonically retired to her roommate's room so we could actually go to sleep, and shot the shit for hours. And that was sort of the like, wow, this is like, this person's answer is finishing my sentences already, and like we're like BFFs. And that was it. We were Wonder Twins immediately, and when I went to my next Western event, people had heard that Helga had a Wonder Twin. It was so evident to some people that when they met me, I was like, "Oh, hey, blah, blah, blah," and we just started talking, and they went, "You must be Helga's Wonder. You two could be the same person." So, like, that was it. Wonder Twins from there on out.
Yep. And since then, it has only gotten better.
You guys are adorable.
I'm actually jealous of your PDR, and that kind of scares me.
Pro tips for newbies. Ready? You want to be more period.
Funny story about that, Anthony. Okay. So
but now I don't need to wash any dishes either.
When I started in the SCA back in the early 90s, it was a trendy thing for there to be leather cozies for like beer can or soda can sized leather cozies that would hide your non-period can. Only years fucking later did I fucking realize, why did you just buy a cup? Like,
then you would take care of your cup and keep it clean. So like there is some advantage there.
But at the same, they were the coolest thing. We were all over those. Like all of my friends and everything were like, "Look at this cool leather mug that hides our, Pepsi can or whatever." Like years later, we're like, "Why didn't we just?"
It's just a brown paper bag. It works really well.
That's a good one.
I would also like to note that, Julia, both you and I started out in Sinagua, where Sinagua casual is cowboy boots, blue jeans, and a torn-up tunic.
And a T-tunic.
A beer cozy is the best.
Yeah, a leather beer cozy. I mean, it just makes sense, right? So.
Yep. So shall we go on to the next one? Because me and my snowflake chain, by the way, I'm super excited about my snowflake chain. This is getting worn everywhere.
I can't wait to see it. You're gonna have to take a selfie or like a photo of it and share it on the group so people can see
I
it.
now have plans.
Oh God. I'm gonna get a semi-nude like photo like of the thing draped between her boobs at some point. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, is that what you want? Sure.
Well, no, it's just that's usually what it ends up. Hey, look what I got! This cool piece of jewelry. Also, and I'm like, that is a cool piece of jewelry. Nice tits. Cool.
I like how you just outed me on the internet.
What? I outed you? What? That you send me racy photos? Okay, that never happened. Sorry.
Like a pile of PMs asking if there's like a pay.
No, she only sends them to me. She only sends them to me.
I am not starting an OnlyFans, okay? Just. Nope.
I don't know. That's a good way. You could think about like raising money. I don't know.
I could fund the show with an OnlyFans.
I was gonna say.
For Helga, there's no OnlyFans. It's only hands.
We've got hosting to pay for.
Curious in the background, by the way, you can't see this. He's holding his kitty and he's like, we've got hosting to pay for. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna just forget all of that was said. Sorry.
Okay, it's my turn. I'm leading. Okay, this is another from Anonymous. As peers, what are your thoughts when a student, squire, trainee, or protege severs their relationship with a peer that is teaching them? How does that end? How does the end of the relationship look to the other peers?
Well, this one I can come at from personal experience, right? I was when I was knighted, I was squired to Cullen, Viscount Cullen, McKinnon of the East, but I had a knight prior to that, and we got along well, and things moved along at a comfortable clip, and somewhere along the way things changed, and I'm not going to say they're a bad person because I don't think that's necessarily the case at all. I think it's that they were not really prepared to have someone who has as big and forceful a personality as me be their squire, and be loud and outgoing and be introducing them to foreign lords, right? And like, I get it. There's a weird balance to try and take when you're a dependent to a peer, and you want to try to be a good dependent to that peer, but also be your own person and start to build word, right? And I was not as good at being the quiet dependent. Much better at being loud, talking, shocking. And as that went on, it eventually hit the point where the thing for me was noting that it hit a point where I was happier to be at events that they didn't show up at, and that's a problem, right? Like that's not a good thing. And in that case, that's where I approached this from. There's a lot longer story with a lot more twists and turns that I don't really need to get into, right? Because it doesn't look good for me, it doesn't look good for them, and that kind of situation brings out, like a lot of the worst in both involved. So it's not worth repeating the entire story, right? But when it hits the point where I am no longer looking forward to going to events, if this person is going to be there and I'm in their service, right? What's better? Is it better to break that contract and break that fealty, which is something that I'm really not a fan of? Or to have that person, go to the wayside and just stop showing up, right? It is definitely something that people need to think heavily on. It's something that people need to... I got grilled about it a lot after the fact, years later. As I was being considered for fighting wars in the East, and even as far away as when I was being discussed for chivalry, and there were two people who absolutely came at me from a very negative place and took me to task about it. And honestly, I respected them because they valued what that relationship was, and they needed to understand why I was willing to break that fealty, because I was on a path looking to be someone who is in fealty to the crown, right? Do I take fealty seriously? So it doesn't look good in general, but that doesn't mean that it's not necessary and that it can't be okay. But you need to make sure that it's something you take seriously and that you do for the right reasons, and you are fully aware and willing to go to bat for yourself and explain why that had to happen. It's also very, very good indicator that you should think long and hard before you take that red belt or that green belt or that yellow belt, because it might seem like everything is super cool then and everything's great, but are you sure it's going to be that way 6 months from then or a year from then? If you don't know that for sure, it's really going to look bad for you down the line.
I also had a previous Laurel before I apprenticed to the Laurel that I stuck with. It's an interesting thing. For me, it was not contentious. It was not, I mean, I think she was at a different point in her life when she, we had the whole conversation and we agreed to it and everything. She was kind of still active in the SCA at the time, but moving away from it to start a business and like wanted to focus on all of that. So it was we did the whole year and a day agreement before it really was, finalized. So maybe it doesn't even really count as like a Laurel relationship, Laurel apprentice relationship. But I definitely thought of her as my peer. But yeah, it was one of those things where she had to drift away from the SCA and kind of put it on hold to grow her business and focus on her other career, her main career and everything. And she, so when we came to the year and a day, well, actually year and a day, I think passed by, and I hadn't seen her in over a year. And I just kind of understood, that she had she had life. She was taking care of stuff in life. And that's when my future Laurel approached me and asked if I wanted to apprentice to her. And I was like, yeah, but I got this other thing I got to take care of. And so then I reached out to my former Laurel and I said, hey, you really haven't been that active. And this is not a, knock on you, because I understand why you've got all these reasons and everything. But I think maybe this is not the time for this kind of relationship. And she agreed, and we parted amicably, and it was a no harm, no foul situation. After that, I've talked to other people who have severed their relationships. I have a very, very, very dear friend who's actually my apprentice sister, and I think of her as like an actual sister and everything. But she reached kind of a phase in her development on the peerage path about maybe a couple of years before she got offered, where she just kind of was like, it's not working for me anymore. This whole like being an apprentice, I feel like I kind of need to be on my own. I kind of need to do things. And so she had that conversation with our Laurel, her former Laurel, my Laurel, and they parted ways amicably. They didn't really, it's not like they parted ways. They just like became, they went back to just being friends, No harm, no foul. Again, it was just a very like, she was feeling like she needed to do something else and she needed to be on her own and like explore her own, path. And that she felt very strongly about that. And my Laurel was very, very like understanding and kind about it. And everybody's buddies. It didn't hold her back because like 3 months after I got elevated, she got offered. So she absolutely did not get held back because of severing a peerage relationship. And then again, I've talked to other people who have had more contentious relationships where they're like, I can't sit there and now I'm with this person, attached to this person, and now I'm worried that it's going to impact me on the council. And I just got to say, you got to do what's right for yourself. You've really got to look at yourself and say, like, if this relationship is not, it's like any relationship. And I think I've actually said this before, that like peerages are kind of a weird, like romantic relationship sort of a thing, or peerage relationships. And if it's not working for you, then go and just be an adult about it. Hey, it's not working for me. I want to explore new things, or I want to, this other person is kind of meets more my speed. I'm clicking really well with them and I'd like to pursue that. As long as you're a responsible adult about your own feelings and interactions about it, I don't see why it would ever impact somebody to sever a relationship, at least as far as I'm concerned. But I think it's really personal. It's a really personal thing. So, and sometimes they don't work out and sometimes they do. Helga, you're muted.
New bingo card. Everybody drink anytime Helga starts talking while muted. You are all screwed. So I'm going to speak from personal experience too. I severed a relationship very early on in my SCA career, actually. And it was to my pelican. And I was 17 or 18 at the time. And I'm actually going to totally just out it. He cheated on his wife. And I have a hard no there, where I may be poly, but I'm very much so about consent and permission. And so at 17, I severed that relationship where I publicly did it in the middle of the Eric. But very much so, like we had a ceremony a year beforehand, and it was almost a year to the day when I severed the relationship. And I went out there with like 15 other people, and I was like, I want witnesses to why I'm doing this. So to answer the question. As a peer with thoughts of students, so I'm very picky about taking on official students because of this. I want to make sure they want to be in a relationship because I think that the man-at-arms phase or the person-at-arms phase or the person-at-arts phase or the person-at-service phase, because we really don't have, like, I'm trying to find more gender-neutral ways of saying that, is that's the phase where it's kind of like dating. And like you get to know each other and kind of like test the waters and everything else like that. And then once you're a square protege, not cadet. What's the mod version?
Student?
So a student, once you're an official student, there is the exchange of basically the exchange of vows there. And so getting out of that, you have to be clear. I don't care if a student or somebody else gets out of a relationship. I'm going to assume they needed to. The only place that I judge them is when they start trash talking the other person. Right? It's like a bad marriage breakup or a bad breakup. If you're starting to trash talk somebody, there's other bad blood that was going on there. Maybe you guys weren't mature enough to be in that relationship, but it's going to be something that I watch for. In how it's done. Is it done clean and amicably, and as two adults, discussing things, they may not have agreed on some points, and the differences were irreconcilable. Then cool, great. That is how adult relationships should end. If they're being catty assholes at each other, well, that's something that I'm going to watch for. That's not something that I want in a student of mine. And going from there, I would also like to put star. I will totally allow you to be catty if you find out that your student is fucking your significant other. No fucks there. At that point, burn them to the ground.
It's a little specific.
That is very specific, actually. But
no comment. No comment.
And vice versa. Yeah, and vice versa. If your significant other is banging your student, burn them to the ground too. So I have.
I'm just gonna stand here. I'm gonna sit here and just smile.
I
love you, man.
As long as it's done in a healthy and adult manner, I don't think it should weigh against the student, and I don't think it should weigh against the peer. All relationships, there always should be an exit if needed, and if the relationship isn't benefiting the people. The more adult it can be, the better it's going to be, and the easier it's perceived by everybody around you. Also, I'm going to go on a weird-ass soapbox, because I remember, I mentioned OnlyFans, and this could be taken totally wrong. Sex work is real work, and anybody wants to have that argument with me, totally can, off this show. I am not shaming anybody for being on OnlyFans, or being a cam girl, or anything else like that. I'm just not that person. However, I respect...
If that stuff had existed when I was in my 20s, I would have been all over it. I mean, the thing is it kind of did, but it really wasn't like heaps of money, in the late 90s.
If somebody offered me, hey,
I was on cam portals back in the day when you were talking about before there was any real easy way to monetize that, and it wasn't live streams. It was cameras updating with JPEGs every 5 to 30 seconds.
I remember there was this must have been 2000, 2001. I was listening to an NPR article about some girl that was suddenly making tons of money on just camming. And that was this revolution of what, you can do that?
Yeah, for me that was around 2000, 2001. And I was on Style Project and I was dating a cam girl and there was, I wasn't making any money because I'm a dude and dudes don't make money there.
I've got friends, really good friends that are cam girls, and hell yeah, if I thought I could make their money, believe me, Like, they make
I'm
money.
pretty sure you could make that money. As we've proven time and again in this show, there's a niche for everything.
There is a niche for everything. Do you like thumbs and dyed hair? Like, cool, I'm your girl. Like,
Pretty sure there is.
do you like to be scare-roused? I'm probably the person to talk to.
You know, I think it's one of those things that, like, you know, or wanting to doing it without being coerced into doing it. Like sex trafficking, different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, but when it's you and your body and you're choosing to do these things, like, fucking go you. Like, just go you. That's like been my thing from day one after I found out that you can actually make like shit tons of money doing that. My like crippling insecurity was always like, nobody wants to see this weird little hobbit naked. But I'm sure there's actually people out there that do want to see weird little hobbits naked, because on the internet, what is it, Rule 34?
The internet, you're somebody's kink.
There's somebody for everything. Or something for everybody.
And
Anyway,
with that, it's a great time to have a commercial break.
I need more cocktails.
In a society based on living a dream, we deliver items and goodies that help you on your way. We specialize in some of the more artistic interpretations based on early period crafts, but we still throw in the mystical and unique arts. Much of what we sell is created by us. We sell cool things, and if you can't find it, we'll do our best to get it. Besides having some of the coolest stuff around, Wolfblood is a freelance artist who operates a graphic shop that prints t-shirts and embroidery. We may not have what you need, but we have what you want. We specialize in the unique. Are you an SCA, fair, or LARP merchant? Since COVID-19 has hit and we've had to stay in place, so many events have been canceled. How do you make a buck? How do you keep your product going? How do you get the attention of all those people that are doing nothing now? The answer is to place an ad with Between Two Peers. You can supply us with images and copy, and we'll take care of your ad, or you can make your own. To get started, message one of the ladies from the show or message one of the tech crew. We want to get you out there. We want to promote your product. Thanks for listening.
So we're back, and as you can see, while we were on commercial break, Helga actually did a little strip show for Sassy and I. Sassy had to leave the room because she was so scare-roused. I mean, I just stayed here glued to the screen, enjoying it the entire time. As you can see, she's wearing all less clothes now, but she's gotten decent again before we came back from commercial, just to protect all of your delicates.
Wait, I'm sorry, am I supposed to do this now?
So, and now we're back.
And we're back.
And I'm playing with my boobs on camera. Also, Sassy, you totally missed. I caught the snowflake in my hair, like hardcore.
Yeah.
Can't get out of my
She did
garb.
warn you.
It was probably the best part of the striptease.
Yeah, just
Can I follow up though to our previous like little bit of a discussion? I just actually saw Fortune mentioned the courtesans. The known world courtesans recently held the first courtesan college virtually, and many of the classes are up on the known world Collegium website or YouTube. So I think we'll actually pull that and we'll drop that in. Because courtesans are actually something very near and dear to my heart, because that's actually my persona is a Italian courtesan from 1560s Venice. And so Doesn't look like it, but it is. But yeah, so if we want to continue that discussion about sex work in the the Middle Ages or during the period that the SCA covers, that is a great place to start that conversation, full of wonderful women who are ready to have that. Also smart.
Also,
I love how it just suddenly got very quiet. I'm like,
no, I'm gonna out D1. I'm gonna out D1. By the way, Anton, to you, and he said thank you very much for your answer about severing relationships and ties, because he just recently did that.
Got it. Who were you outing?
You haven't met First Squire yet.
Gotcha. Okay.
all right. So are we gonna just jump back into it?
Yeah, it's your question.
Okay, this is from Marjorie. What is the coolest thing you've ever made?
So I would say the coolest thing that I've made. So I'm gonna brag, since I don't know if she's still watching the stream, but she was a minute ago. My queen, Trimaris, Maisie. I took Laurel's Choice at the Trimaris A&S competition, which is super cool because it's only the second competition I've ever entered. The first being Penzic Champs. It's the first project that I've ever done documentation for and actually made to enter into a competition. So I made a Lat Galleon spiral coronet. It's a super fancy headpiece found in what's modernly Latvia. I had an extant piece to work off, actual fragments of an extant piece that I sent to a friend, Magnus, out in the east. Thank you, Magnus, who works in a lab and did all of the spectrograph analysis to get the chemical composition of the metals, and it had some extant fiber that he took microscopy photos of for me, and then I basically started with copper wire or bronze wire, and got to make this thing. By the time it was done, it was 600 and something pieces, and I learned how to spin flax into cord to use that as the core for it. So it was as spot on, perfectly period as I could conceivably do it, short of making up my own alloy that had lead in it. The actual piece was 16% lead. I made it to fit Kiar's head. She's very happily now worn it at a couple of events. So it holds up to day-to-day wear, even at Penzic down on the bog, and looks perfectly period. It was super cool, and it's the only time I've done a project of that depth, complexity, research, 30 pages of documentation, the whole nine, and it was exhausting and super fun. But making something that you could literally pick up and put in a museum as an extant find kind of, it was super cool. It's the first time I've done something on that level, and I got super excited talking about it. Because I'm in. Sorry.
You hard geeked on that.
I have this fantasy of a Lat Galleon kit, and I want to do it really, really bad. So,
I don't sew at all, and you do. So, I
can hook you up. Oh yeah. Let's do this. Oh, we'll talk. Oh, we will.
I like the little flirting going on here.
It's craft flirting, man. It's the best.
It's art flirting. Come on. I know, right? Yeah, this is art flirting.
I was about to say, Anton just put a chain on and nothing else, and you send a photo from here to here. It's great.
Yeah, it's we each learn something, and it's fine.
I'll post a link to my documentation in there because I actually have it all online.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Oh god, that stuff is so beautiful.
So I'm actually going to say
right.
My favorite thing that I've made is a current project that I'm geeking out on, and actually will have documentation with it when I'm done, which will be the first time how Anton and I have arted all over the place, and then we're just fuck documentation. I think this is the first one that's grabbed me about doing documentation for it, so I'm going to. And actually, Hans, can you hand it to me? It's the shield. And I'll even show you guys. It's a work in progress, though, so please be judgy as fuck. It's still missing a bunch of paint. But I'm actually doing it's roughly 1450s with the art. But I am doing a shield for a dear friend of mine. And there are 13 fighters on here, and everybody will have their own surcoat because everybody has registered arms that's going on there. And so
that's really cool.
I'm really excited about this shield. Also, there's like 11 Vorpal bunnies hidden on it.
I like the one you did recently of the Greek Die Hard.
Yeah, the Greek Die Hard. That's actually one of my favorite ones too.
That was a really, really good one. If you follow or are friended to Helga, she posted it on her Facebook page a week ago or something, and it's absolutely hysterical because it's beautiful. It's like this beautiful, beautifully done art piece that's going to get beat to shit, which is awesome about it. We call that in art history ephemeral art. It's not meant to last. It's meant to be used. Just word of the day. Yeah, no, ephemeral sounds so much more like, academic. Anyways, so I got to go back and okay, the coolest thing I've ever made. Actually, one of the things today that just came up for me, memory-wise, I was looking through some old photos and I saw a photo of Duke Titus, lately no longer with us. Titus was a Westie for years and years and years and years and years until he moved east and became, part of North Shield. North Shield? It's North Shield, right? Or am I completely fucking that up? Okay, everybody. Anyway, eastward, wherever east is, one of those kingdoms. Anyways, Titus was a dear, dear, dear friend. And I made this suit for one of his last reigns here in the West Kingdom. Actually, I think it was his last reign here in the West Kingdom. He and his consort, Arianwen, wanted to do Italian, 16th century Italian for their stepping down. And so I made a gorgeous Ethelmark. Shit. I am so sorry, guys. Anyways, I've had have you seen the size of the gin and tonic I've been drinking? My bad. But anyways, they wanted to do 16th century Italian stepping down, and so I did this. And for me, I wasn't laureled yet. So this was kind of one of my proving pieces. This was something that I needed to do to kind of prove that I could not just make women's clothes, which was definitely something that I heard said a lot about me was, oh, well, she makes clothes for herself or she makes clothes for women. She doesn't really do anything else. Can she do anything else? And so I knew I needed to make a just banging guy's suit. And turns out they wanted stepping down costumes in my little wheelhouse, 16th century Italy. So I made Arianwen this gorgeous Venetian gown. And it still to this day bugs me because it actually doesn't fit right in her shoulders. She stood, she stood back with this posture when I draped it, and less of a natural posture. So it forced her shoulder blades back. And I've done this to myself, so I know exactly what's wrong with it and why it happened. And it created horrible tension in her neck, and it's really hard for her to wear, but it's so gorgeous and she's so beautiful in it. However, Titus, I made him a man's 1560s Italian, Venetian outfit. And I loved making that outfit. It went together so easily. It was so beautiful. It was so just effortless to just make it from start to finish. And the end result was just gorgeous. And I happened to find a photo, and I'll post it on the Facebook site after today of him and me at my laureling, because he wore it at my laureling ceremony. And it's just probably to this day the thing that I'm the proudest of. And he was a peacock and he enjoyed wearing fancy clothes. So I was happy to indulge in those fancy clothes. And I've got a bug.
I have a second favorite too, because I happen to be wearing it, and it's a thing I can give a shout out to somebody for. This super cool armbagel, which is all hand hammered out of fine silver, with big help from Luis Garcia. There we go. Focus. Perfect. Strongford Arts.
Oh, you made that?
Yeah.
Wait, did you make that?
Yeah.
Fuck off. That's
a bottle of silver. Yeah.
Shit. Is that a pound of silver or something?
This is 2 ounces. 2 ounces.
2 ounces. Oh, so you hollowed it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's all hand hammered stuff. That was a bunch of work.
Yeah.
And Lewis does awesome work and is a super fun guy. We call him the Bob Ross of metal.
That's awesome. All right, next question.
Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
This one, Charmaine? Did I pronounce that right?
Yep, you got it.
Awesome. Charmaine, what childhood dreams have you neglected?
That's a hard one, right? Like, I mean, obviously, like, every little kid at some point wants to grow up to be a knight. Like, we get to say that we managed to pull that one off, which is probably the one you least expected, right? But somehow that happened. I really don't know. I've gotten to do a lot of really cool stuff that I like had never even thought about doing. So it's really hard to look back and say, like I always wanted to go to space, right? Like I wanted to be an astronaut, but I think kind of every kid did. I don't know that I have a really good answer. I've never really thought too much about childhood dreams that were neglected because my life is entirely unplanned. And if you had asked me where I was going to end up 5 years ago, let alone 10 years ago, I would never have told you it's where I am right now, but I wouldn't change anything about it.
I think my answer is similar to Antoni's. I never knew what I wanted to do or wanted to be when I grew up. I hated those questions in school because I was just always like, I'm just motoring along doing whatever I do, and then it happens. And so, yeah, I always remember trying to force myself to like think of things when we had to like have those have those essays in like 6th grade about what you want to do when you grow up. And I'm like, I want to be a ballerina astronaut. Like, I guess, you know. So childhood dreams that I've neglected. I think for me, it's more esoteric. I think it's the sense of effortlessness. Oh my God. Okay, effortlessness and whimsy that with adulthood you have a harder time connecting with. And so I think I want to reconnect with all of that, and that's kind of where my answer goes. I don't have a specific dream because I'm a giant kid. And I'm kind of already living that giant kid dream. Like when I was 18, I think it was 18, I walked into a Toys R Us and said, I can buy any toy I want. I had that moment. and that's been my approach to life ever since, which is like, I don't know. I just, want to do fun stuff. So. Helga.
Oh, are you prepared for the dorky that's about to happen?
Oh, I want some dorky.
You're opening your mouth, so we're expecting it.
Wonder Twin. So, I actually wanted to model.
Yeah?
And
really?
It's actually something that I
like
wanted
high
to
fashion?
Do. No, actually,
cool.
I've always been a little weird goth kid. I've always been like on that like weird kind of like hair and just kind of style path. And so when I first ran into that, like there was some Vogue stuff that came out that was like really heavy makeup and darker clothing and like that stark appearance, and I was just like, hey. Then I found goth, and then I was just like, holy shit, this is amazing. And like all those models are just super hot, but also the aesthetic really appeals to me. But I've just never been built like that. Like I've never put myself out there like that. So I'd actually say that the reason why I'm choosing this as like the childhood thing that I neglected is because there's very little that I've done in life where I haven't just faced into my fear and figured out how to do it. So I've helped with training Hollywood trick horses. I have trained dogs for stuff like that. I've done search and rescue. I've done like so much stuff that like people are like, you're lying. Nobody's done this shit. But that's the one where I'm going to say that I've neglected that because it was something where I let my fear rule me. And so thus I neglected it, and I never figured out how to do the thing, and I never developed the behaviors around it.
This is where like our Wonder Twin abilities overlap, and like I never wanted to be a model, and I did runway and did some print modeling and was an extra in like a couple movies, and like I did all that stuff, and it was weird because it was not something I had really signed up for. And someone went, hey, would you like wear these leather pants that we made for Lenny Kravitz for a photo shoot? And I was like, are you a weirdo or are you looking to pay me for actual model? And they were looking to pay me for actual modeling, and I got to do that, and I got to do a runway in the VH1 Fashion Awards after party. Yeah, like Madonna like gave me a hug and said I looked hot. It was super cool.
What?
Life highlight. Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
So that was pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. And if you ever watch Summer of Sam, I am the punk kid with the mohawk. Yeah.
Wait. What? Oh, Summer of Sam.
Yeah.
Anthony, how old are you? Are we the same age? I just assumed you were like 12, like Helga.
Yeah. Everybody usually does. I'm okay with it. It's fine. It works out in my favor most of the time. So it's good. It's good.
Are you one of our, what is it? The Oregon Trail generation? not Gen X, not millennial. Oregon Trail.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Oregon Trail generation, fuck off.
No, you're not, girl. No, you're not.
You're
cute,
not.
But you're not.
You played Oregon Trail, but you're not Oregon Trail generation.
No.
How do you spell?
No.
How do you say Oregon?
Oregon.
Fuck you.
I love you, ding dongs. All right. Do we want to move to the next question? I'm getting way, way tipsier than I anticipated. I was like, I'm not going to drink that much on this show. Like, look what happened.
I was about to say, and it's your turn, Sarah. Ah!
I know it is. This one is from. Okay, we put her mundane name in. Helga, help me out. Are you looking at the question?
Rifkin.
Rifkin. Right. This comes from Rifkin. What is your big SCA goals, and what are you doing to work toward achieving them, and what roadblocks do you see to your success?
That's a good question. We've already touched on the fact that right now I'm doing pretty much nothing, right? Like we're pretty much in just slow down and relax mode with COVID. That being said, I don't like my SCA goal was always be a better fighter, get better in melees, maybe get knighted one day, and like clearly we've pulled that off, which was surprising to me, right? But it went well, and I guess between that and doing the two reigns and then zipping back out to the East Kingdom when my squire won and was reigning and trying to support them while they did that, like I honestly haven't really stopped to focus on like, oh, what do I want to do next, right? Like I don't know that I've paused long enough to have a new goal. I mean, I'd like to fight in some more tourneys and win some. I've really been enjoying art until COVID killed my muse. I mean, being a Laurel one day would be cool, but that's not so much a goal as something that maybe it'll happen, right? So I guess really like my goal has mostly been trying to have a good time and trying to make sure that other people have a good time. And I think the roadblocks toward that are really just people being shitty. And what I do to work around those roadblocks is tell people not to be shitty. Sorry that that's a super simple answer, but I mean, Rifkin has at least made me realize that I have not stopped to take a measure of where I'm at and what I would like to do next, which is interesting. I hadn't really thought about that at all.
Helga, it's you. And you're muted.
Mute thing. I gotta figure out why my mic's reverbing, or I just need to go buy an actual mic versus using my laptop mic. What? Investing in
I have a good webcam recommendation for you.
I actually have a really nice webcam. It's just, the mic doesn't like picking up on it, so I should just actually get the mic. Sigh. Okay. What are big SCA goals? So big SCA goals. I would like to be a Laurel. I would like to win crown by my own hand. I would totally like to make Anton princess because he made me princess, and so I really want to do it in return. And I had a blast reigning with him.
I'm going to pause you there because you said that your goal was to make Hans a princess, and you were going to make me a queen because you wanted to one up me making you a princess.
He said she was going to make me.
Okay, there's a lot of people I need to reign with. Okay, there's just a.
You got a to-do list.
Hansa just grumbled from over in a corner. Me first. But yeah, so there's like seeing people that I love on the throne with me is actually a huge goal in the SCA. And so we're going to have some feels here for a moment. When Anton won Coronet and I was his consort, he gave me a gift of seeing the SCA through a different set of eyes. I had burned. I was really burnt out on the SCA and everything else like that. And he's been my Wonder Twin. And even there was a couple times while we reigned that we wanted to strangle each other. But even in the end, I wasn't tired of him. And I didn't, like when he left, I felt like part of me was leaving. Because that's who we are, and what it has turned into is our friendship is so deep that it's just what it is, and it will always be that way. But he gave me that gift, and because he was the fighter, it was two different roles. Where I got to go be princess and do all these. Oh, who did we lose? We lost Sarah, or Tulia. Drink. Darius is on camera. Oh, Baby Ninja's on camera this time. So. Going and doing those things and giving that gift back is actually a huge goal for me. There's people that I would love to see on throne that may not get a chance otherwise. And then the other one. Oh, do we have Tulia back? Oh, shuffle cameras. It's between two peers. Everybody drink. We shuffled cameras.
Sorry, guys. I had to restart because the stream on my end was being weird and glitchy, so I decided to go ahead and do it. So.
And so also being a Laurel is actually an active goal, and I will say it out loud. What's getting in my way is time and training in all facets of that. And how I get in my own way when it comes to fighting is nobody is harder on their fighting than I am. You can ask anybody that's trained with me. And so I will, I wind myself up weird. I'm still dealing with some tourney choke and getting over that. And I think as time goes on, I will try to just get the fuck over that and do things. It's actually the reason why fighting with the little shield helps me a bunch. And when it comes to being a Laurel, a lot of it is getting over my fear of doing research and writing. Because I write for a living.
All you do is research and writing for a living.
I know, that's what I do for a living. And so I get to my fun time and I'm like, I want to paint a shield, and I will go look up all the resources and I will find the period resources and everything else like that, and I will use it and I will try some of the techniques. And then as soon as I sit down to write it, I'm just like, fuck this, I'm out. And so that's something that I need to get over and find a way to put some of my passion into that so I can kind of become that much more complete peer. Because right now I'm an artist. I'm not anywhere near a Laurel. And so, yeah, there we go. Success is all in my head, actually, is really what it comes down to. Is success. I have to find the right passion that just drives me, and then add a little spice sprinkles on top.
Yeah.
And I like how we're just getting all the pets. And I said spice
We're
sprinkles.
doing pets now. So I don't know.
We're at 37 likes on the stream. I'm just going to point out that I noted in chat that as soon as we get 5 more likes, and for every 5 more likes, I will give Thor a treat.
Aww.
So, if you guys hate Thor, you need to start clicking that like button. Just saying.
This is my poor neglected baby boy. He's been displaced because we have kittens now. So this is the Noodle. Everybody say hi to the Noodle. Hi, Noodle. All right. He's angry, cranky. He turns 14 next month. And I've also got fur in my face now. In mouth.
Yep, you just got 5.
Oh, there you go.
Holy crap. This is
We're probably going to need 2. We're going to need 2 because we're almost at 10.
This is the best
Use
thing.
the power of the doggo for not evil.
So okay, so everybody freaked out because apparently Antonii's doggo is literally the best doggo ever. Thor is the best doggo. He really is the best doggo.
Everybody gotta sit up. Sit.
But anyways, I'll answer my question. I don't have a goal. I got my goal. My goal is my Laurel. I don't really have a goal anymore. Nothing that I can directly do or influence or do on my own. I've done it. So yeah, it's hard. That's kind of weird. Kind of a weird place to be, but it's okay, and I'm comfortable with that. And whatever happens after this happens. So, and look at that good little boy. Hi, you're a good little boy too.
Oh, drop.
Apparently, we need to do more challenges for
Guys, can we could work some tricks out for some
We could
subscribers.
go all with this one's making biscuits right now. He's all like, I like the biscuits. I know, right? We should put him on. He's got opinions.
So are we ready for the next question when we are
Let's just move to the next question.
Okay, so the next question comes from Reese. Do you experience FOMO, the fear of missing out, and how do you handle it?
I absolutely experience FOMO. It is the worst. As I said during the intros, right? Like I'm one of your original Weasties. The license plate on our truck says Weastie. The license plate on my motorcycle says Weast. The license plate on the back of the RV here says Weast HQ. We are Weastie Posse for life, which means that we are bi-coastal and we bounce around between the east and the west. I can't be in both coasts at the same time. Where you going, buddy? You're showing off his pants. I can't be on both coasts at the same time. So I 100% have FOMO, right? Like there's plenty of times when I want to be on both coasts and I can't be. And I handle it poorly because there's really not much I can do about it besides try to split up my time as best I can, right? One of the advantages of having so many friends coast to coast is being able to visit so many friends coast to coast and see so many awesome people. And the downside to that is I haven't seen my West Coast fam in like 2 years because we did an East year while Ozzer and Fortune were reigning. And then we came down here to relax, and now we're just sort of locked down in Trimaris, which is an awesome place to be. We had a really good time with a couple of events we got to go to before everything shut down. But the best way really to handle FOMO is really just to suck it up. Like I check in with my friends and I look at pictures and I see what they were doing, and sometimes it's the best you can do, and you just got to suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
It's hard to complain about missing out because you have too many cool things that you want to do and can't be at, right? So that's what you need to look at. Oh man, there's so much fun stuff that I want to do and I can't do all of it.
I wish there was a way that like Baby Ninja's little background comments could be just broadcast.
He could literally...
Yeah, why don't we just turn the mic on? Repeat what you said for the rest of the class, Baby Ninja.
Brennan said I could pick a kingdom, and Trimaris is neither. But like, Trimaris is where we visit my dad because my dad lives down here, and it's warmer than the East Coast for the winter, so we get to see some fam, and, hunker down, and like Trimaris is a pretty fun kingdom. Just saying.
Another 5 likes. We're rad. We're doing this.
Oh yeah, like, you are making the likes happen.
This is good.
I mean, if I have them go back and like past shows, does that also count?
Yeah, go back and like all our past shows, motherfuckers.
You get more likes. We'll keep feeding the dugout.
Y'all heard it here.
So FOMO. FOMO's weird for me. FOMO is like one of these things where I kind of get it, but I kind of don't. I've always been kind of a weirdly self-contained unit of a person. And if it's something I want to do, then I want to do it. And then if I see other people doing the thing that I chose not to do, I'm like, cool, they're doing that thing. That's good for them. But I think right now, so FOMO, fear of missing out, I'm not experiencing fear of missing out because we're all missing out. We are all in this ridiculous situation where we can't do anything. And so it's more just cabin fever. It's frustrating. It's all of that. So I don't know. Like I can't really say that I experience FOMO, but I also can't say that I don't. But right now it's just I can't. And that's the hard part. That's the part that really was really part of why we started the show, because we can't do it. We can't do the SCA. We can't like hang out with our friends and have these, ridiculous fireside chats. Like that's kind of what the show is a ridiculous fireside chat. And we can't do that anymore. And I missed it. And I missed it very early on. And I kind of was hoping we wouldn't have to keep going. But we have to keep going, and that's cool. We're going to go as long as we need to go until everybody is safe and healthy. But yeah, I'd say it's more cabin fever for me and less of a FOMO situation. All right, next question.
My mic wasn't muted. I went to go unmute my mic and I muted myself because technology is hard. FOMO. Yeah, so I've got FOMO. I also have social anxiety, which is like the worst combination ever. Just to tell you, where I'm just like, fuck, I'm missing out, but I don't know how to be around people, so I'm just gonna go away, and then I'm gonna assume that I'm missing out on things, and fuck. I'm a weird creature. Like I'm one of those like where you see people like they walk up to a party and they walk away, and they walk up to a party and they walk away because if they don't have an immediate person that's like safe to go to and hang with, then I'm just like, I'm out. Okay, I'm good. I'm just the awkward weirdo in the corner now. I'm gonna go away, and then I do. And so I would say, how do I handle my FOMO? Is I actually try to actively overcome my anxiety about meeting new people, and so I'll just kind of like boldly go where no Helga has gone before, and then I will just like go meet a new person where I'll just be like, hey, you look bored at the bar and I should totally like, you seem cool, like, you want to talk? It's the reason why I have so many friends all over like the known world is because just like randomly I'll be like, hey, hi, like we can either like, it's pretty easy, like the SE is really, really easy to talk to new people. Service, fighting, arts, or partying. Like, you have 4 categories you can choose from. Within there, there's other subcategories. But if you start with a generalization around one of those, somebody's going to start talking about what they're doing. Or bad dad jokes. You can find plenty of bad dad jokes. But that's like a 5th category that's like the devil. Because that's also including puns. And then you get people going, and then it's going to turn into war crimes on the Eric at 11 o'clock at night.
Baby Ninja, are you actually mic'd right now?
Yep.
He's not right. So you said it has to be on porpoise.
Yeah. So just like what's happening here. So what I would say is, how do I handle it is by finding a way to relate to people and then giving them the opportunity to talk. Because if I assume that everybody else has the same problems that I do, you want to know how many people will actually talk to you? A shit ton. And then you don't miss out on a lot of things because you get to go like ride along on these crazy adventures in other kingdoms where you know nobody, but now you have buddies. That's actually how I got most of my friends in Ontier, was just like drunkenly talking at a bar.
That's literally how you make all your friends. I mean, I do. I don't know about you.
I make a bunch of my friends hitting them with sticks also.
I make a lot of friends just being like, hi, friend.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're my friend, whether they like it or not. So, yeah.
So, shall we go to the bonus question?
Let's go to the bonus round.
Bonus round.
All right. So this is from Thomas Kenrickson. If your knight/peer was a cartoon character, who would they be? If your squire, protege, or apprentice was one, who would they be and why?
Oh man, who is the dude in the movie that everybody said Cohen looked like? I'm asking Kiara because I can't remember, and it's a pop culture reference, so she's not gonna get it. Damn it! Somebody's gonna answer it in chat. But there's a movie character that looked exactly like Cohen when he had his beard grown in real full. And his head shaved, and he used to get it all the time and hated it, which brought me great joy at bringing up. And I really can't remember who it was. I don't know who my dependent, who is now of course a count. So yeah, hey, Your Excellency, if you're out there listening, I don't know who I would compare him to, but he's a trash squatch. He's my favorite trash panda. And like, I can do a really good impression, like an Oscar impression, because I like to drink moderate amounts of fruit punch. But I don't know what I would give him as a cartoon character. I never thought about cartoon characters. I don't watch enough cartoons.
Yeah, it's a hard one to put on the spot. I actually also was like reading this, and Helga and I were both like, this is a great question, and now I'm like, God damn, how do I even answer it?
It's one I wish I had time to focus on previously, because like I'm sure I could come up with great answers, but I don't watch enough regularly.
This could be Monday question. You could have some time to think about it, and we post the question.
Mine would be Duke Fabian would certainly be Dudley Do-Right.
Fabian as Dudley Do-Right. Yeah, that I could see that. I could see that. Actually, you know who I really see as Dudley Do-Right? That would be Connor. Dude, Connor, completely Dudley Do.
No. He's the guy out of the movie. Which Hans, the movie where the guy he's a game character, like a old Stickjoy game character. You enjoyed the hell out of it. You saw the second one without me.
Are you talking about Tron?
No. Wreck-It Ralph. Like Connor.
Oh, Wreck-It Ralph. Yes. I was like, what?
Most definitely.
Like, super happy about life. Also going to smash.
Michelangelo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That is who my dependent is. It is 100% perfect with the dudes and the pizzas, and yes, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Helga. What's your answer?
Habakkuk Sam the Eagle.
Yes, Sam Eagle. All of you are weird. That's my Habakkuk impression. Just because he does it to me all the time. Who are you small
weirdos?
So, Mari is the 80s version of Wonder Woman, of course. The hardcore, like...
That's the 70s version, girl.
No, like the 80s, like, we're talking cartoons, so like 80s cartoon.
Oh, 80s
like,
cartoon.
Like the hardline drawing, like, flies around Wonder Woman. And then, so, I read this question, and I was like, oh, cool, I've got both my peers, like, settled. That'd be great, that's easy. And then I realized that I have two proteges, and I was like, oh, no. And I realized that my protege, David, or Demir, sorry. Drake. Demir is strong bad, and and Squeaky Valkyrie is Cheetor.
You're right, actually. Yeah, that's true.
And so that, like, I'm pretty sure that all of my students are out of that cartoon.
Oh, Homestar Runner?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I wanted to do for my 40th birthday? I wanted to have a theme party where everybody came dressed as their favorite Homestar Runner character, and I never actually did it. Oh, because me and my bestie would have come as Allie and Allie's sister.
Checking the emails. That's 20 years old now, by the way.
Yeah, no, I know. We're old.
Hard no. So I'm actually pretty sure that Ambrose is Trogdor at this point in time in his like developmental phase of like fighting, where he's just like, I do this thing, and then I do another thing, and like that's how that's going.
Somebody just said light switch rave, and immediately I'm all. Hi, I grew up on the internet. Anyway.
I mean, that's not as good as a techno Viking, but like we'll take it.
The system is down. The system is down. God damn it. Oh my God. Yes, I was a huge Homestar Runner nerd back in the early 2000s. Anyway, so my answer to this question is my Laurel is a cartoon character. She is her own cartoon character. There is no other cartoon character that is quite like her. She is just a cartoon character. That's Juana Isabella de Montoya y Ramirez. And this woman, she's a little taller than me, and I'm fucking short, so she is short. And hysterical. A wonderful human being. But she has this voice that is so, and it's like a Westie thing. You hear Juana's voice, you know it's Juana. And I used to be able to do a really good impression of her, which was, very high pitch, and this is how she talks. And so she talks like that normally, but then when her voice drops down to like a normal level, you've really fucked up. And that's exactly. I got the low voice Juana a couple of times. Sarah, stop it. That's when you've really fucked up. But so Juana is her own cartoon character. I don't think there's really anything quite like her, but she is kind of a toon. My only dependent that I have right now is Mistress Asa, who is a pelican, but right before she got offered to become a pelican, she wanted to transition from her. In fact, this goes back to our previous question about severing relationship with a previous peer. Her peer, who she hasn't completely severed, a relationship with, is focusing on her writing career and is kicking ass and taking names on that, Mistress Tangwhistle. And Asa came to me and was like, with Tangwhistle, and said, hey, I want to be my advocate in the West Kingdom for the Laurel. And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. She's rad. So Asa then got offered 2 weeks later to join the Pelicans. Because she's an amazing herald. Just one of she's fabulous. And Asa's great. But Asa, as my only dependent, actually, I'm trying to run through things. If we want to stick with the Homestar Runner theme, I would actually go with her. She would probably make a very good marzipan. Sitting alone in the dark, thinking. She's very marzipan. So I'm gonna go with that. Helga, what do you think? You know Asa very well. What do you think? What? She's like, shit, I'm on the spot.
I'm trying to think. This question is actually really hard.
Really
my cartoon name knowledge is super just not all there. Oh my god, she's totally Nemo.
Nemo? Really? You think Nemo?
She's not Dory, that's for sure.
I could see that. Okay, I could see that. She is very Nemo.
She is kind of just well, I'll figure this out, and I'm gonna go forward and do it. I'm just gonna keep kind of figuring it out and go shit. Also, I'm slightly cute, and I can get myself in trouble, but also I'm gonna rescue myself right the fuck out of it.
She's very resourceful and very also just she has a fuck you side that you don't want to get on.
For real.
She really does. And I was just oh, Asa's mad. Oh boy, this is bad. Don't get on that side. So yeah. All right, guys. I think that answers all of our questions. We had a couple of questions submitted. I know we're way over, and that gives Helga some anxiety.
I'm actually good this time. We've been very good about it for a while now, and so I'm actually really good.
Yeah. Do you want to do answer some questions that came in through the chat?
I'm down.
Okay.
Also,
okay.
I want Anton to answer what characters he thinks you and I are before we go to questions from the audience.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna stick with the Muppet theme. I'm gonna go and give Tulia either, and it depends on which Tulia we're getting. If we're getting Tulia the peer,
personality Tulia,
or Tulia who's been drinking, and I'm gonna split it right down the middle between the best parts of Miss Peggy, whom I adore personally, or Red from Fraggle Rock.
Holy shit! You nailed it! Oh my god!
Right? I think that's where I'm going to go with that one.
Okay, I completely agree because I've often said that Miss Piggy is my favorite Muppet, but Red for sure.
It's a really good blending of those two. I think.
Yeah.
That's where I would go with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, since I get a different Helga than most people do, I suspect. I'm mostly just gonna go with animal.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm curious what one you would actually answer with your knowledge of me, though.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
The Helga that I get is kind of animal.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually.
Kind of all over the place, but in the best way. Muppet arms. You guys' turns.
Okay.
I was about to say I don't look as cute in a collar, but you know.
I also one of my favorite Muppet character, and we've had this conversation. Actually, had this question come up, I think, in a previous episode. And one of my favorite characters forever is going to be like pretty much all of the Electric Mayhem, the band. So Dr. Teeth and Janice. Yeah. And like Janice, I love Janice. And every time I wear these things, I'm just always like, hey, man.
I can get
That's all
behind
I
that.
can think is like, I'm Janice. Okay. All right. Another question. You want a heavy hitter, or do we want to do a fun one?
What Muppet am I? You guys are going to just skate right over that one?
Oh no, you're not Robin. You're Robin from the Disney animated Robin Hood.
Robin Hood. Oh God, he so is. Robin Hood and Little John.
You haven't seen that one?
Oh,
he's
ding dong.
Gonzo, but that's beside the point because he gets all the women, is still slightly funny looking, but is the Muppet that obviously gets all the play.
All right. I mean, I can get behind that. I can see that. I mean, I was told that my Disney alter ego was, what's his name? Tangled. The dude from Tangled.
Oh,
I haven't even seen that.
No,
I haven't seen that.
That's Aaron. That's 100% Aaron.
I can see that too.
I need to watch it.
I'm going to tell you, when we were watching Tangled, the only thing that I walked away from Tangled with, it was a decent movie, right? But the one thing that I walked away from Tangled was they modeled that horse on Helga. Watch Tangled. Everyone at home needs to go watch Tangled. Think about Helga's body language, facial expressions, movements. It's the fucking horse from Tangled. 110%, and I was dying every time that thing came on camera in the movie. Dying, because it's you. It's you.
So I get
right.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh my God!
I missed out on a lot of.
You need to watch it. I didn't see it either until a bunch of people said, "Your Disney persona is Flynn Rider," and I'm like, "Cool. I don't know who that is." And my walk away from that was that horse is Helga.
I'm actually going to think that if I'm the horse, you are Flint Rider, because there has exactly been some of those like exchanges between us where I'm just like, are you fucking really getting us into this?
Like.
I would argue that's been a lot of your guys' interactions over the years.
Hey, I would say how many times where I've gotten him in shit too. It's a very even thing.
I know. I believe that.
Delightful burden. Saddled with gleefully. I mean, it just circle here. It's
and you are getting people in the comments to agree that I am 100% Max.
I need to watch it. Okay, tonight we're watching this. I'm watching it. So I had a heavy hitter question.
Share screen and roll that.
What was that, Carius?
Said I could share my screen and roll that in the after party.
Okay. Side talk. Do you want a heavy hitting question or you want a lighter question? Because we got.
I mean, go all over the place. I'm with it. We've been drinking enough that I'm going to answer whatever at this point, so we're good.
That's kind of where I am right now too. So this is from Anonymous. This was submitted tonight in the Discord chat, which if you are not on Discord, you should be, because we have a whole community on Discord, super active. We'll drop the link in somebody who is more sober than me, Baby Ninja and or
Ask the question.
Well, so this was dropped to me in personal chat. This was anonymous and asked, and it's a very good question and very timely. Have you ever considered leaving the SCA? Why, if you're willing to share, and what convinced you to stay?
I would say that honestly, I haven't ever had that consideration. The time I have most been down on the SCA really has only been recently, because I feel like a lot of the online, aside from a lot of the live streams, but a lot of the social media that we're getting now is a lot of the worst. People who are complaining the most and the loudest. We're just kind of how the internet works, right? The most upset are usually the loudest, and you hear them the most. And I have heard so much of that in the last couple months. And you hear a lot of that all the time. The person who's complaining about how terrible people were to them at an event 9 years ago, the last event they went to, but they're still talking about it 9 years later. And most of the time, that's really easy to ignore because that next weekend, I'm going to an event and I'm seeing all these awesome people and having a phenomenal time and not encountering anything that I'm hearing about, like, well, this person talked me down to my very first event, and like, that shouldn't happen. If we see it happen, we should stop it. But when all you hear is that negative online over and over again, without being able to right now go to events and see the people you love and do the things you love, that's been making it really hard. I will admit that, along with my muse getting murdered by COVID, I have kind of been not super engaged with the online stuff that's been happening for the SCA in the last 6 months. I mean, this is 100% reminding me of exactly why I love to do this thing that we all do. Because I get to hang out with you guys and talk smack and make fun of one another, and make fun of myself, and make fun of our friends, talk about things that we love. And there's a bunch of people in chat who are being super serious and talking a lot of smack and having a good time. And I like doing cool stuff with people I love and talking shit with my boys and lady. And that's what it is, right? So have I ever considered leaving? No. Has it gotten a little harder recently? Yeah. Are all of the things that I love still there? Yeah. And I'll be really, really happy when we can get back to it, because it's going to make my life a lot easier and a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. Helga?
I don't think I've contemplated leaving. Like, the SC is such a big part of my life that it has changed my life, and I've literally built my life around being able to do the SCA. I have contemplated, like, stepping back, or I have been burnt out. And a very wise duke one day told me that it is time to step back when you go from putting on garb and seeing the magic and kings and queens and knights and squires and pelicans and laurels, and all of a sudden you realize that you're hanging out with all your friends in funny clothing or bathrobes, and you're like, what the fuck?
Bathrobes. It's the bathrobes.
Yep, the bathrobes. And I have hit that before. I have 100% hit that before. And typically what saves me is actually hanging out with the newcomers, is divorcing myself from the bullshit, is we are a very large group. We're across the known world, like literally around the world you can find SCAers. And you have to understand, people will be people. We're going to disagree. We're going to have some differences of opinions of how things should be done, or blah, blah, jerk, jerk, jerk. Everybody can, like, stroke that entire soapbox there. But in the end, you can divorce yourself from some of those things. It's not like you are forced to hang out with them. You can remove yourself and go find a space that cultivates what you need. Mind you, I'm also not talking about individuals that are actually toxic and dangerous. Like, don't just divorce yourself and go away from them. Like, fucking deal with the problem. But if it's just...
Needs a little nice room. That's why you go pee in the middle of the break.
Yep, that's the reason why there's commercials. You can just take his place, Sky. You're fine. And so that's something that I think is what feeds me and what drives me in the SE. Hi, Sky!
Hi, Sky!
Everybody is Kiara, bitches.
Oh.
Kiara, you're right. Sorry.
Also, Antonii is a little taller than I am.
Apparently.
Not nearly as cute.
So that's actually what
really
it is finding the groups that feed the dream for me, and then using them as kind of like, oh, hey, like, you're seeing all the Stardust right now, I'm going to look for what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Miss Sassy?
So I feel like social media is the reason why you don't ask or you don't, like, choose psychic as, like, if you have a superpower, what would you have? Because social media is basically that whole thing of just being, like, able to see inside people's heads and all the fucked up shit that's in there. And I say this as somebody who has a lengthy social media presence, and also very fucked up shit's come out of my head on that. So have I considered leaving the SCA? I left the SCA for several years. From 93 to 99, I was active. And then 99, I was like, fuck it, I'm out. And I stayed away until 2005. So about 6 years, 6 years of, no SCA activity. And I came back because what I missed was the community. And I missed the support structure. I missed the, I got the people in it. I didn't always agree with the people in it. I didn't always like the people in it, but I got it. I got, we all agreed on this, baseline of this is what the game that we're playing, and the things that we agree on, the rule set, the ideals, all of that, always appealed to me. And I, sitting out there in the real world, ass. And so when I came back really, really, really just starved for camaraderie, the chivalry. And I'm not talking chivalry oh, my lady. I'm talking about we're all nerds and we're going to nerd out about chivalric virtues. I missed having those conversations with people about esoteric and concepts and ideas that we lack in the real world. And so, my sister, I have a sister who always mocked me for that. It was you're living in a fantasy world, come on. And I'm yes, and you're an actress. And so it's kind of the same thing, for real. But I always felt I got the SCA and the SCA got me. And I've done a shit ton of other types of reenactment. I've done Ren Fair. I've done Dickens Fair, which is a Northern California thing. I've done Civil War reenactment, which is horrific. Don't do it. Sorry, that was my outside voice. But I've done these other types of reenactment. I've dabbled in this stuff, and I've gone back, and every single time I'm just it does not give me the fulfillment and the support structure that the SCA gives me. Now, that is not saying the SCA does not need improvement, that the SCA cannot improve, that the SCA is perfect the way it is. That is bullshit. The SCA is imperfect. The SCA is filled with human beings who are full of fucking shit, right? Because human beings are awful. And we can always do better. But the tenet of the SCA, kind of the baseline tenet, as far as I'm concerned, is do better. So we can do better. So let's fucking do better. Let's do better. Let's listen to the people that are saying that these things are not working for them. Let's listen to the people that go to an event and then get, run off. And I get it. I am a straight, white, cis female. I get that. That does not mean that anybody has that experience. I have that experience, but I want to make the experience that I got as default available to everyone. And that's it. So no, I'm not going to leave because I'm going to make this place a good place for everybody.
All right, so I say we tackle one more question and then we'll wrap the show so we don't take up everybody's night all night long. They can come join us on the Discord for sassy times. This actually was one of my favorite ones that came in. This one's from Maze. While Peerage is a ton of hard work and dedication, it is also a gift. With that being said, it is a gift that you can very much so pay forward. Sorry, it came in multiple chunks. Oh, so what is one part of your station that you have paid forward the most?
Oh, that was the question from Her Majesty Maisie from down here in Trimaris. Peerage is definitely a gift. It's also a job, right? I think a lot of people look at it as an award and not as a job. So that's really the number one thing for me to look at. I had a really interesting perspective because getting to become a royal peer before I became knight, one of the best pieces of advice that I got was specifically that, hey, if you get knighted, it's not a promotion anymore. It's just a job title. And that was super accurate, right? Because you're already a Viscount. Getting knighted doesn't up your precedence, doesn't mean you're more important. It means you now have another job title. And it's a recognition for work you did and for character and for a lot of things, but above all else, the job title. And getting to give that back is one of the best parts. You know, like you've hit that pinnacle whereby the chivalry have recognized that you are their own, and now you don't have to, in a word, prove yourself to anyone except yourself, which is the best. And I know I'm rambling, so I'm going to just keep rambling. We've been doing this for a while, and I mean, let's be real. I'm the guest. Julia's been talking more than me, so fuck it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
I'm
with
literally
it.
like,
So, Kiara
ramble.
made a pile of gin infused with basil that she grew and blackberries and blueberries, and she's not even waiting for me to finish my drinks anymore. She just keeps pouring me more. So like, she's helping hardcore, right? So paying it forward is cool because the best part of being knighted, and I'm going to guess that Helga can probably back me up on that. Best part was going to the first practice where I didn't know anyone after getting knighted, because I walked in there with a white belt on, and it might have been a practice that I went to with Baby Ninja, in fact. And I rolled out with a sword and shield first, and y'all know I'm not a sword and shield guy, right? Like, it's not my bag. And I had really good passes. I've been working on my sword and shield. I didn't embarrass myself, but very much you could tell that people's thought process was kind of like, this guy's like a foreign knight / royal peer, and like, I mean, he's not bad, but maybe he's not great. And then I got to bring up my glaive and surprise the shit out of people, right? Which is cool. But the part that's awesome about it is getting to show up at that first practice, pick up a weapons form that I'm not really that good at, and not need to worry what anyone thinks about me or how they value my ability with that weapon. I can start learning and teaching myself and practicing without having to ever think like, oh man, the chivalry might be thinking about how bad I am with this because they don't know that I'm just practicing my off form, right? So the thing that's cool about getting to pay it forward, the thing that I love being able to pay forward is, as a glaive guy in particular, getting to say, hey, like, I know this isn't your thing, but I'm super stoked to you, and I'm not going to judge you for it at all, because you probably fight sword and shield all the time, and now I can teach you some cool glaive stuff, and we can have a really fun time over here, and I am never going to look at you and be like, well, yeah, you didn't do that great against me. I'm going to look at you and go, you were willing to put down a thing you were comfortable with, step way outside your comfort zone, hang out with me and do some cool stuff that you weren't good at because it was fun and you were learning. Getting to pay it forward by giving people the freedom to learn other things and not judge them for it is awesome. And I love that.
I love it. What the fuck was the question again? I'm all like, I love everything you're saying, Anthony. You're amazing.
I'm going to just stare at him and listen to him talk.
What was the question?
What's the part of peerage that you are able to pay forward most, or that you have been paying forward most? And for me, it was what I was enjoying about it.
Right. Okay. I was super into it. Oh my God. I had a lot of cocktails. What's the part that I like, that I enjoy the most about being a peer? I'm a short woman. I'm a short woman who looks young and has, for most of her life, looked young. And let me tell you, there are a lot of motherfuckers out there that do not take you seriously. In the SCA and outside of it, I suffered with that a long time. When I got to become a Laurel, that really decreased. It doesn't go away entirely. It never will, but it decreased significantly. And that's probably the part that I like the most, is that I can walk into a thing and I can whip my dick out and be like, here's my Laurel dick. And people are like, oh God, she's a Laurel, she's a peer, she's okay, cool. Rather than having to go through the whole rigmarole of let me mansplain everything to you and tell you how you're wrong about all the things, which is all the other shit in my life. So that part I really enjoy. What was part 2 of the question? I have ADD, please. I can't remember anything. Helga, you're muted.
How are you paying it forward?
How am I paying it forward? By finding people that I identify as having their voices suppressed because of the dominant paradigm being a piece of shit to them all the time. And that's how I pay it forward, is by finding somebody. And, you know, I can't do it all the time. I'm not omnipotent, nor would I want to be. But if I see it happening, it's automatically a, yo, timeout. Let's hear what this person has to say. That's a very valid response or thought. And I endorse it. So trying to endorse somebody and give them a voice and elevate their voice is really the best part about being a peer. Because the peer gives me a default megaphone. I talk about it like a megaphone. I can shout over people being a peer, but to hand the megaphone off to somebody else and say, you don't have this megaphone. Here you go. Well, you know, that's the best part. And that's what I try to do paying forward, online and off. Helga?
We're good?
Yeah, we're good. Oh, we're so good. Holy crap.
So what I would say is that one aspect of my station that you've tried to pay for the most is actually the safety that comes with my titles, basically the privilege. Where there's a lot of fun to be had, and Anton touched on that it's a ton of fun, and you get to go and like you get reacted to differently being a peer, especially at night. Like that white belt changes how people, like deal with you on the war field and everything else like that, which is great fun. I think one of the responsibilities that come with being a peer is paying for the safety that is being that peer. Nobody can threaten me at this point in my career of, oh, well, if you don't do this, like, I'm not going to speak, I'm not going to speak for you in council, which I would like to note as an unbelt anyways, I was like, go fuck yourself, I don't need your vote. But at this point in time, now when somebody else is having an issue, yep, that's me.
Thank you.
Fuck you, Anton. Especially right now, when somebody comes to me that isn't a peer, I can give them space to process something, and then if it needs to be dealt with, I can use my station to go deal with it with no cost to them. So I can go risk where they cannot. And so I try to pay that forward because my peers did that for me. And some of my peer friends did that for me. And so my goal is to continue to pay forward by being approachable power. Or approachable station is a better way to put it. So we can continue to move the society forward. We can make things easier to address because when you're not an approachable peer, you're taking away so much of the power that you can give other people. You're shutting down those voices and making the space smaller when you could very easily, for no cost to yourself, make it bigger.
I think that when Helga and I were reigning,
Oh, shit.
the single coolest compliment that I ever got was 2 different newcomers, people who'd been in the SCA for under a year, saying that I was a super approachable royal in ways that they hadn't really experienced previously. And that was like, yes, right? Because like your royals should be approachable 100%. Your job as the royal is being the cheerleader. So when suddenly you become someone who's really approachable in a position where you're the head cheerleader, because I always look at royals as that, right? You're the head cheerleader. Your job is to shine a spotlight on other people, point out cool stuff that other people have done, and you get to hand out awards when they do cool shit, right? You're a cheerleader. That's your job. You shake your pom-poms in the color of your kingdom, and you tell people how awesome a job they're all doing, right? It's the best. So when you're approachable enough for someone to say, hey, like, you're like one of the first royals that I've met that's really been that approachable, that feels awesome, and let me know that, like, hey, maybe we didn't do anything earth-shatteringly amazing, but there are a couple of new people who felt like suddenly they could come and talk to their royals, and they were involved in a part of the same thing doing. Even though we were their royals, we were people they could come and talk to. And that was awesome.
One of the coolest things is still seeing the newcomers' hats running around on people's heads that have now been playing 3+ years. Like that's what that is like the coolest Stardust for me ever, is seeing some of our newcomers stayed. So with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. If you sent a question in during the show, we will keep it for one of the future shows. That we have a big list where we keep all the questions that come in. So please always feel free to send in questions during the show. My God, I hate you so much more right now. I'm pretty sure that's how I flirted with you.
I mean, it's
Really?
it's kind of spot on. It really is.
Yeah, like it's 100% not wrong. Baby Ninja,
Check for calling you out. It's true.
I will stab you with a fork.
So let's.
Does anybody have any closing remarks that they would like to give to the show, Anton?
Not overly. This has been a super good time. This is like a super good reminder of exactly what I miss. Getting to like hang out with my friends and drink probably more than we should, and run our mouths a little bit and make fun of one another because we love each other. And if you can't talk smack with your friends, who do you really talk smack with, right?
Yeah, who can be? Fuck off.
It's a really good reminder of what's been missing while we've been locked down at home. And like, I'm really glad I got to come hang out with you guys and do it. It's been pretty sweet. Also, Kiara is just trying to get me drunk.
You know,
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with all of it. So at the early part of today, before the show started, I was like, I better make a big cocktail because I'm totally sober. So I got my Maggie mug and I giant cocktail in Maggie mug. And wait, I'm wasted. But Antonii, you've been amazing, and thank you for coming on the show. And you're always a delight. And Kiara, it was good seeing you for like a second. And also,
she's hoisting her glass from off camera.
So,
all right, you guys.
We're not totally done yet. We got show plugs. So, Anton, do you want to give a shout out to another show or class or anything else out there on the World Wide Web?
I'm definitely going to give a shout out to my buddy Lewis, who I mentioned earlier. He is the one whose shop I was hanging out with when I made this. And Lewis, I'm hoping that our tech guys can share a link to his Facebook stuff.
We'll do it all on the Between Two Peers.
Yeah, there it is. So if you're on live chat instead of top chat, you'll be able to see the link that our own Baby Ninja just shared. So Lewis is one of my absolute favorite people in the SCA. He is one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. The first time we met, he literally showed up at my house to hang out with Cass and I, actually. Mundane name, sorry. Got Kisa. And we made a bunch of cool stuff out of silver. And it was the first time we've ever hung out. We had only met online. This is a dude who has been teaching at his local community college how to do Viking stuff. He has a ton of online classes and just hangouts where he's pounding away on metal, making cool stuff and showing you how to do it and letting you hang out with him while he does it. He's an amazing guy. He makes amazing stuff at amazing prices. So I'm 100% plugging that you should go check out his stuff and buy some. He 100% is a person who I aspire to emulate and be more like. He is not a peer, but he is 100% my peer and a man that I respect and admire greatly. He's a dude that I have to kind of be like, hey, Lewis taught me a bunch of cool stuff, and you should all go look at him, look at his stuff, and look at teaching and everything he's been doing, and take a look at it. He's kind of a rock star. Also, I would be remiss to not also give a thumbs up Duke Art out in Aidenvelt, who taught me how to do metalwork, and Duke Eichbrander, who taught me how to do the other half. They're other formative dudes in my life that I would never have met Lewis without them. So much love to all those guys, because it's super cool when you can be a knight and be arty, make cool stuff. And most fighters like hitting metal with hammers, so it's a really good crossover.
You can see me like dying here as ADHD kicks in, and I'm just like, sorry, I'm twitching.
I was about to say, Miss Tulia, do you have a shout out for this evening?
You know, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm awful. But you know, all the the shows that we follow on our YouTube page are available. So look into that. You can see those, and those are great shows. That's it. I did not study for this class.
And I'm going to actually give out a shout out to Duke Marc, who is doing backyard training. And he's producing videos once or twice a week. Right now they're being produced on Sundays. And he is going through all the basics of longsword. And he is extremely detailed and hyper aware man of what we do. There's a reason why he's a Duke for a reason. But he's also articulate and does it in a manner where it's consumable information. I highly recommend checking out his videos. We will put a link to his YouTube, so you can go check it out. If you are training to do two-handed sword, or you just want to pick up better basics, seriously, go geek out on these videos and check out what he's put. The content he's putting online is solid. So that's my shout out. With that, I want to remind all the merchants out there, we're still doing commercial updates. I can send you the link if you want to have a commercial on the show. So, with no further ado, I want to thank you all for continuing to support the show, for hitting, smashing that like button, even though we had to bribe you with a cute doggo. Go back.
I'm gonna keep doing it.
Go back and like past episodes. It helps us.
He got a whole lot of treats, and it was everybody's fault.
Yep. So we now have a Discord up and going. We're going to post that into the Facebook group tonight. You can come join us. There's an after show. There is sometimes we'll bounce into just a chat with some of the past hosts. But we'll be around this evening to entertain you a little bit more. So we will see you next Friday with our next awesome guest, who happens to be Mistress Ghislaine from the West. We're really looking forward to the show. It's going to be a good time. So with all that, thank you so much for your time, attention. Remember, like, share, and subscribe.